Let's talk about transactional email in Craft CMS. Hey, it's Judd with Lion Digital. Today's video, we're going to go over transactional email in Craft CMS, which is just the email that Craft itself generates. So we're talking about things like password resets, account confirmations, the type of stuff that Craft itself is responsible for sending out. What is transactional email? So a couple characteristics of transactional email. It's the email that your website or app sends out. It's automated and it's real time. And by real time, I don't mean like instant, but it corresponds with something that happens on the website. So it's triggered by an action in your application. Somebody clicks on something, somebody fills out a form, and an email is sent out. So the classic examples, you buy something on an e-commerce website and they send you a receipt. That's an example of a transactional email. That's probably like where the term came from. The other thing is like password resets, when you create an account, when you confirm an account, all those sorts of things are examples of transactional mail. Now, what's the difference between transactional mail versus other mail? It used to be marketing emails were kind of the other category or bucket of emails. And those, that's like you send out a newsletter or a product offer, that sort of thing. In the age of personalization, so the last several years, these lines are totally blurred. There's all sorts of automated, emails and sequenced emails and, programmatic email profiling. If you sign up for one of these websites these days, like an e-commerce website, you're going to get bombarded with stuff and it's going to be based on your behavior. And it's not like someone's on the other end, like manually sending the email out. So the lines have totally blurred. But when we're talking transactional email, we really mean like what's the website or application sending out. So what we're talking about today is in our good old Craft CMS. How does it handle email? And where you're going to find this is you go to your settings. There's an email section, and then the area we're most concerned with is the transport type. So here's a screenshot of that settings screen. There's a number of different things. I'm not going to go through all these settings here. Maybe in a subsequent video we can go through customizing templates and stuff. But really, I just like to get straight to it. That transport type drop down is where you want to be. There's a few different options in Craft. You can use your Gmail account where you basically give it your authentication to your Gmail and it'll use your Gmail account to relay emails. This might work. I don't recommend it. You can also use SendMail, which is a common open source app that's usually on web servers that will relay email. Often isn't configured right. So I always recommend just use SMTP. It's a widely used protocol for this sort of thing. And then what you do is so the pro tip here is just use SMTP. Don't use these other ones. Don't try these other ones. If you're in local development or something, then who cares? But other than that, just use SMTP. It'll make your life way easier. And use a third-party service that specializes in email. Email deliverability is a big pain in the ass.
No!
You have to, there's all sorts of things about, verification, validation, spam complaints. So there's companies that specialize in this sort of thing. So use one of these third-party services for transactional mail and just offload this stuff. They're reliable, they're inexpensive, they specialize in this thing. Like, you want to be in the business of building cool websites, not in the business of chasing down, email delivery. So Craft supports, they support this protocol. So anything that, runs off this, you can use. Some of the more popular ones are like Amazon SES, Mailgun. SES is simple email service. The one I like and recommend a lot is Postmark from a really good company called Wildbit. I think I've recommended them before in other videos. They use Craft. They're kind of a small, medium-sized tech company. They're really, they kick ass. I've used them on lots of stuff and some fairly heavy volume stuff, and it's always been really reliable. You get all sorts of cool things like statistics and deliverability metrics. And they've rolled out some services where you can actually start to do more marketing type emails. It's a feature they call streams. So anyway, it's an outstanding service. So let's jump into a demo, and I'm going to set up just a dummy mail server at Postmark and connect it to Craft install. So let's have a look at the demo. So let's set up Postmark. So first within Craft, let's go figure out where the email settings are. You just go to settings and then click on this email icon. Then you've got a number of different settings here. I'm going to kind of jump ahead. Let's just say, I'm going to use my email here, whatever. There's some additional things you can check here, but really what we care about for our conversation today is SMTP. We're going to change these settings. One thing I should note is that Craft does offer some plugins that make this step a little bit easier, so you don't have to enter ports and encryption method and that sort of thing. But really all those plugins do is just give you the right settings if you provide an API key for one of these services. So I never use the actual Postmark Craft plugin. You can, it's easier, but it's, basically the same thing. So anyway, what we're going to do here is let's go create a server. We're going to call this Craft Sandbox. You can associate a color label or whatever. You create this. They've got integrations with every programming language, platform, whatever. This is telling me I've got a free account, so there's some extra things to set up. If you're doing this for real and you're doing this on a production website, there's a couple validation steps you can do with your DNS and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that here, but they have good instructions. But what I do is I jump straight to settings. You're going to grab this server API token. When you just click on it, it'll copy it, and this will be your username and your password. So you can enter these here. You should probably put these as an environment variable. So what I'm going to do is let me create an environment variable real quick in my environment file. So I'm going to create one. We'll call it Postmark. Postmark API token, something like that. You can call it whatever you want. Save that. Let me refresh real quick. Craft will pick this up. We're going to switch to SMTP. I'm going to grab these settings in a quick second. So we're going to use authentication, and then let's find that Postmark. There we go. There's my Postmark API token. You actually use your Postmark API token for the username and the password here. So I know this because I've done it a million times, but read the instructions on whichever service you're trying to incorporate. Now for ports, they're standard ports that SMTP runs on. It's usually like 25. I think there's like 5787 or some crazy thing. Okay, so 25, 25, 25, or 587. Let's just grab 25, 25. And then for the host name, they give you this SMTP Postmark app. So basically just copy a few settings over, put anything that's private to you. Just for Craft, it's good practice. Just put these as environment variables. Then that lets you do things like if you want to have a staging server that relays email for a bunch of testing and stuff, and then have one in production, you can easily switch if you move these to environment variables. It's also good for privacy, where this stuff is just going to live on the web server and it's not going to be in your database. If someone were to get into your database, now that's another rant for another day. But anyway, you can hit test here. See, it says it sent it. And then you can check your activity within Postmark. They have pretty amazing stats, and it'll show. So here's the test email. It says processed it okay. And then it shows, the settings. There's plain text version, the raw source with all the mail headings and everything. There's all sorts of things to do. It's a very full-featured kind of service that's highly scalable, run by good engineers. Can't say enough good things about WildBit. So anyway, that was a very quick way to set this up, and now you got transactional mail using Postmark within Craft CMS. So there you have it, transactional email and Craft CMS. Now you know where all the settings are. You know to use SMTP. I recommend Postmark, but there's lots of other services you can try out to relay your email and get stats and all that stuff. And good luck out there building your Craft websites. If you need a hand with anything, if you're a B2B company, have any questions, hit me up. I'm always happy to help. I am for hire for B2B companies. And see you in the next video.